A Driving Under the Influence Guide. Chapter 1. Driving Drunk or Over the Limit. Driving under the influence/DUI. DUI drunk driving is treated very seriously in all states. Even if you've just had a few and you're okay to drive, the low legal limit of around 0.08% blood alcohol will get you every time, and then you will lose your license for at least 6 months and pay a big fine at the bare minimum, not to mention lawyer fees, possible loss of job, etc. If you injure or kill someone, you're looking at felony jail time. In some states, even if you're not driving but just sitting in the driver's seat with the keys in the ignition, you can be charged with DUI. If a police officer suspects you of driving while impaired, he can arrest you for either DUI, driving under the influence with deals exclusively with alcohol, or DWI, driving while intoxicated, in which case, you may blow below the legal limit but the officer still suspects you of being high on something, so he arrests you based on his observations, and they will probably give you either a blood or urine test at the police station to screen for illegal drugs. Barring that, he will write a report about your erratic behavior which will be used as evidence during the court trial. Many police departments have preliminary tests of balance and physical coordination which a police officer asks you to take to help him determine whether to give you a breathalyzer. In many states, if you refuse a breathalyzer, your license will be automatically suspended. It's best to cooperate but don't volunteer any information beyond your statistics. If you're caught, you're caught. You can't do anything about it, so face the music. You will probably lose your license for 6 months to a year and end up paying a few $1,000s when all is said and done for fines, car towing, possible loss of job, higher insurance rates, legal fees, etc. You might be able to get a conditional suspension to be able to drive your car to work. If you're at a party, public bar, restaurant, etc., get drunk but your host keeps serving you and then you drive, there are laws in some states that make the host responsible for any accident you might cause, and you might be able to sue them for letting you drive in that condition. Talk to a lawyer about it. When you're arrested, it usually starts with either a field sobriety test where they make you do silly things like touch your nose while foot is in the air or say the alphabet. They may also have a portable breathalyzer which they make you blow in right there on the spot. If you appear impaired to them, and you almost always do because the tests are a sham, they read you your rights and arrest you for DUI. You have the right to remain silent. After they take you to the station, they take a few readings with the breathalyzer, and if you blow over the legal limit, they book you in, which means taking your fingerprints and mug shots, then putting you in a holding cell that night until your arraignment in front of a judge the next morning, where they set a court date and usually release you on ROR, released on your own recognizance. If you can get someone to come to the jail with about $300, they can usually set a court date and release you that night. Note that alcohol takes time to filter through your system, hence, your blood alcohol level usually rises for a few hours after you've stopped drinking. If you've got a lawyer, it might be a good idea to call him and have him show up at your arraignment. If you go to trial, find a lawyer who specializes in DUIs. Never plead guilty because the trial is a several-phase process where the prosecution has to lay out their case and anything can happen. If you've got a good lawyer, he might find some loophole or technicality like the cop or a witness forgot all about the case. A lot of cases are often pleaded down to public drunkenness just for convenience case. There are substances that the breathalyzer mistakenly picks up as alcohol, like acetone. People with lung cancer give off acetone when they breathe. If you haven't been drinking but blow a positive in the breathalyzer, ask for a blood test or immediately get your own one done at a hospital or an independent lab. The usual signs that a cop notices that someone is impaired are: strong odor of alcohol, musty bar smell of cigarettes on clothing, disheveled clothing, flushed face, glassy eyes, slurred speech, uncoordinated, poor balance. Before you even drive, check your car out to make sure there are no lights or anything else missing or obviously illegal. Cops watch bars and nightclubs. Quite often, they will have an undercover car in the parking lot and slash or chalk all the tires so that if they stop you later, they will know you were at the bar. If at all possible, Park your car half a block away somewhere. Drive safely. Don't get in the passing lane, don't go through yellow lights, don't speed, don't pick your nose, don't play your stereo loudly. Don't forget to turn your lights on. If you let a drunk drive your car, you could get arrested. Your first line of defense when stopped is to try to fake it on the cop. That means straightening up your clothes beforehand, washing your hands and face at the bar, chewing some gum, sucking a cough drop or eating some food to mask the smell, wearing your seatbelt and most importantly, looking focused. Have your papers all ready when he gets to your window. Prepare them beforehand. Have one hand high on the steering wheel, the other with your papers ready to pass to him. Cops are firstly wary of guns, so have your hands high on the steering wheel so they don't perceive you as a threat. If you're polite and well dressed, sometimes cops, particularly older ones, will cut you a break and either drive you home or simply charge you with public drunkenness, so play it cool. If you have open booze in the car, you're as good as caught unless you have the foresight to have a container on the floor in the middle of the car with a top on it such that you can slide it in quickly without making much movement. Cops have to have probable cause for stopping you then searching your car. They must either see something in plain view or you have to act in a manner that threatens their safety. In such a case, all bets are off. You have no obligation to consent to a field sobriety test or a preliminary breath test and can't be punished for refusal. Cops don't know that you know your rights, so they will often try to intimidate you. If he persists, tell him you were in an accident and mangled your knee, or tell him you have a bad case of hemorrhoids. A cop must have some evidence like a strong smell of alcohol or uncoordinated walking before he can make you take a breathalyzer. You also have privacy rights, so you legally don't have to allow a cop who asks if he can search your car to search it. He can call a police dog which will sniff around the outside, but only if it alerts to something does he then have the right to search your car. Keep your windows down while driving impaired. It kills the smell and sobers you up a bit. If you see the siren lights, don't panic, don't elude or resist. Nobody ever wins eluding a cop. Just pull over safely and act like a great actor, calm, cool and collected. Don't smile. Just appear serious like he's doing his job, you understand and you're willing to assist him. When he speaks, give him short, straight answers and look him in the eye. Many guys think they can talk their way out of anything, but excessive talking is a sign of drunkenness and the smell could give you away. Don't ever give a sob story. Just be straight, the cop might give you a break. If he gives you a ticket for speeding or something else, quietly take it and count your lucky stars that he didn't get you for drunkenness. If a cop asks if you've been drinking, if you say something like 2 beer, you will inevitably get the breathalyzer. If you lie and act sober, he might let it go. Counter him by asking if you're under arrest. When he says no, ask him if you're free to go. If you lie and end up in court, they will bring that up against you to destroy your credibility. The issue of Miranda rights is a bunch of smoke. A cop doesn't have to read you your Miranda rights until you're at the station after you've blown into the breathalyzer. When you applied for your driver's license, you basically gave an implied consent to agree to follow the rules of the road, and that means to take a breathalyzer when a cop asks you to. If you refuse, they have the right to charge you for refusal, and they will. A refusal is a tough call because if you refuse, you bring down the wrath of the angry cops who might charge you with other offenses. Your best bet is to take a breathalyzer if it's your first time, because they will treat you with kid gloves, alternative sentencing, fine, loss of license and community service. But if it's your second or higher offense for DUI, by all means refuse, you've got nothing to lose. It will be harder to prove that you really were drunk even though you automatically lose your license. If you're ever in an accident, whether it was your fault or not, do not under any circumstances submit to a blood alcohol test because you could be screwed with a vehicular homicide charge. If a death occurs in an accident, cops in some jurisdictions have the right to forcibly get a blood sample from you. If it's a minor accident or a one-vehicle accident, there's a distinction between hit and run and leaving the scene of an accident. Get out of your car, check everyone for injuries, secure your car so that it's off the road, leave your name, address and phone number either with somebody there, make up some phony excuse and get the hell out of there. Don't say it was stolen, the cops won't believe you. Don't go home because the cops will be there looking for you. Stay in a hotel or at a friend's place that night, then the next day, get it all straightened out. Just tell them your girlfriend picked you up and took you to her place, no big deal. There's no way they can charge you with DUI then. If you go home, shut all the lights out and don't answer the door. Have an open bottle of booze in your hand in case the cop gets to you somehow, like with a search warrant. Make like you started drinking after you got home because you were so shaken up. Don't step outside of your house or consent to an arrest. Your best bet if you're intoxicated is to get into the back seat of your car, do not put your keys in the ignition, get as far off the road as possible and go to sleep for a while. If you're in the front sleeping with keys in the ignition, you can get charged with DUI. There's no cure for drunkenness but time for the booze to filter through your system. Water can help speed it up, so drink water. Food helps absorb the booze too, so eat. Some people say that taking 6 to 8 aspirin and drinking ice water will lower body temperature, thus blood alcohol reading on a breathalyzer. Never drive drunk on a Friday or Saturday night or between Christmas and New Year's if you can at all avoid it. They're the nights for drinking and the cops are out in full force watching for it. In many jurisdictions, beyond the breathalyzer, you can get the cop to testify about your behavior also as a prerequisite to conviction, because in many cases where the alcohol blood level is below 0.15, the person is not really impaired, he's really in control. A good lawyer can seize on that point and say his client may have gotten the reading due to the cough medicine he was taking, but he was in control at the time. Then he can challenge the police officer to prove otherwise, that he was acting impaired. You can even have the trial by jury if you want. A drunk driving conviction will usually cost you several $1,000s with the following fees: the fine, towing, lawyer fees, higher insurance costs, possible stint at alcohol treatment center. Restricted driver's licenses are only granted to people who have lost their licenses due to accumulations of points on the driving record. If you get convicted for DUI, don't expect to get a restricted license. If you get convicted, after 10 years you can get an expungement to have it removed from your record. A lawyer should be able to do the paperwork for under $300. If you're super cool, you can buy a mail-order police badge and badge the cop when he gets to your car. Just act like an out-of-state cop who just moved into the area or retired. Even still, don't let on that you're drunk. If you drink and drive, don't forget the simple things like your lights, seat belt, etc. Avoid the main roads, take side streets, don't drive too slowly, just be normal. If a cop stops you, he's looking at your eyes for a centered focus. You have to try to act sober, look him in the eye and quietly agree with whatever he said. If he gives you another ticket for something else, gladly take it quietly. Books about drunk driving are at number 345.7102 or KE2114 at the library. DUI websites: verywell.com/drunk-driving-information-401444, dol.gov/public/ASP/drugs/parties/DUI-DWI.htm, summary of drunk driving laws by state, from the U.S. Department of Labor's Working Partners for an Alcohol and Drug-Free Workplace Program. 101DUIATTORNEY.com. pbs.org/justone/jodwi.htm. intox.com. duiblog.com. drunkdrivingdefense.com. dui.com. dui-help.com. californiaduihelp.com. colorado-dui.com/states. 1800duilaws.com. dui-dwi.com. drunkdrivingdefense.com. dui.com. National Motorists Association. 402 West 2nd Street. Waunakee, Wisconsin 53597. 608-849-6000. Motorists.com. Organization focused on drivers' rights and speeding tickets. Office of Law Enforcement Standards, National Institute of Standards and Technology. Building 225. Gaithersburg, Maryland 20899. 301-975-2757. eeel.nist.gov/810.02. Speeding and breathalyzer info. DUI activist organizations. BeerResponsible.com, Anheuser-Busch's programs to prevent alcohol abuse and drunk driving. Bad.org, Boaters Against Drunk Driving, BAD. Badpage.com, Business Against Drunk Drivers, BAD. DESIGNATED-DRIVERS.com, Designated Drivers Inc. You and your car driven safely. DrinkingDriving.net, DrunkDriving.net, Bartenders Preventing Drinking and Driving. DWIResourceCenter.org, DWI Resource Center, Inc. Albuquerque, New Mexico. StateHighwaySafety.org, Governors Highway Safety Association, GHSA. The state's voice on highway safety. MAD.org, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD. mad.ca/index.html, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Canada. ncdd.com, National College for DUI Defense. dwidata.org, National Hardcore Drunk Driver Project. ncad.com, National Commission Against Drunk Driving, NCAD. ncpid.org, National Council for the Prevention of Impaired Driving, NCPID. nhtsa.dot.gov, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA. TrafficSafety.org, Network of Employers for Traffic Safety, NETS. PADUI.org, Pennsylvania Driving Under the Influence Association. Pleadwalk.org, PLEAD. Walk Prudhoe Bay, Alaska to Washington, D.C. SADonline.com, SAD Online. Students Against Destructive Decisions, also Students Against Driving Drunk. SmashedInc.org, Smashed, Inc. Don't drive smashed. Let Smashed drive you. bcdrom.org, The Blood Alcohol Educator. Alcohol Death Memorials. The Victims Memorial Wall.org, The Victims of Drunk Drivers Memorial Wall. PreciousGemsMemorial.com, The Precious Gems Memorial.